Good afternoon. I want to thank you for joining me today as we talk all about estimated tax payments. I know at first that estimated tax payments don't sound sexy, but you know what is sexy? Having the full understanding of them and not worrying about interest and penalties from the IRS. Am I right? So let's talk about what we're going to learn today. So we're going to talk about what estimated taxes are, who has to pay them, how to calculate them, how to make the actual payments themselves, and what happens if they are not paid. Then I'm going to give you a sneak peek into the Legit Photographer Collective and show you the tax planning tool you get access to when you're a member. This tool can calculate the estimated tax payments for you, but also help you save money on taxes. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of the Legit Photographer yet. That's my membership, but we're going to go in there. I'm going to show you this tax planning software because that is definitely a perk of getting inside that membership. But today we're going to go through everything you need to know in the meantime. At the end, I'll jump on camera and we'll conclude with a live Q&A. But remember, if you're watching this as a recording somewhere, the live Q&A is only for those who attend live. So be sure to register for our next live training so that you get access to that live Q&A piece. You can just go to bastionaccounting.com/register. If you're here with me live, I will be jumping on camera and going through all your questions. So write those down. You can pop them in the chat during this if you'd like to. I'll just grab them after when we're going through the questions. Real quick, in case we haven't met yet, I'm Tiffany Bastion. I'm an accountant and tax pro for photographers. I'm the founder of Bastion Accounting. You can see here, it says, what's an EA? So just real quickly, many people understand what a CPA is, or maybe even synonymously think an accountant is a CPA, and that's not the case. CPA is a certified public accountant, and they have to register to work in the state in which they're accredited to work in. Now, that's why a lot of people think they have to find a CPA in their state, because that is true. There is a 4-part exam to become a CPA, and in that 4-part exam, only a small part of one of those exams really touches on tax. So unless a CPA goes into tax specifically after getting their CPA, they may not be a tax expert. It's kind of like attorneys. You can't assume an attorney knows all the laws, right? That's why there's, car accident attorneys, divorce attorneys, right? So an EA is an enrolled agent. I am certified through the IRS, and I can represent clients in all states, regardless of my location or yours. My entire certification is on taxes. So I take a 3-part exam, federal tax, personal tax, and ethics. So, an EA, you can bet when you see somebody has an EA that they are really specialized in tax. And lucky for you guys, I specialize in tax for photographers. My team and I serve photographers through a variety of offers that we kind of meet you where you are in your photography business. We have our freebies, which is our business expense breakdown guide. We have a sales tax guide. If you haven't grabbed any of these, make sure you go to bastionaccounting.com and get them. They're right on the main page. We have our free Facebook group, the Financially Focused Photographers. And there's, this is a great place to get a start if you're kind of trying to get financially organized or figure out where to begin with tax compliance and bookkeeping, et cetera. Then we have the Done With You service, and that's what the Legit Photographer is, which we'll touch on in more detail at the end of this. But this is where we help you get set up, get organized, get tax compliant with support, but also teaching you how and what you need to know. And then we actually have Done For You service. And I'm sharing this with you because I meet photographers every day through Facebook and Instagram who do not realize that Bastion Accounting does a Done For You service. Like, we become your accounting team. We help you. We do everything. We bring you on as a monthly client. We do your bookkeeping. We do tax planning. We do taxes. We do all of that. So I just feel like somehow that, I don't know, I just want to communicate that, but we kind of meet you here wherever you are at every level. But I'm also a mom, both human and dog, and I'm a wife and a margarita connoisseur of sorts, and I love to travel. This is just sort of the, scrapbook of my life, if you will. The most important people to me and the places that we go. I'm from Buffalo, New York, and I have 3 beliefs. Life's about making memories, which is one of the huge reasons I love photographers and photography in general. Money's a renewable resource. You're here because you're an entrepreneur and you figured out a way to make money doing something you love. Is that amazing? And you're always exactly where you're supposed to be, even when it sucks. You're here right now. There's a reason that you're here. But I also want to speak to when things suck. I find, and maybe you'll agree, tell me in the chat, but you learn the biggest lessons, you do the most growing from the things that suck, right? So everything, if you don't fight it and you move with it, you're going to realize how much you're taking out of life. But most of all, and probably most importantly, I'm an entrepreneur just like you. I get it. There's so many moving parts. Today's training is going to help you build foundations to get you started. There are so many things to worry about. I understand. Like, I will say, properly named 17 hats the app, right? Like, that's how it feels to be an entrepreneur. They nailed that. But today we're going to go over estimated tax payments. We're going to break it down for you, and hopefully you'll walk away with a better understanding and a grasp and sort of that feeling of clarity. Clarity is my word for 2023. Clarity brings space, right? It reduces stress. So let's dive on in here. So what are estimated taxes? To understand what estimated taxes are, first you need to know all earned income is taxable income, and taxes are a pay-as-you-earn system. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you remember when you worked for someone else, if you ever looked at your pay stub, you would see various taxes withheld or deducted from your paycheck. Then your employer would report and pay those taxes on your behalf to the IRS and your state. So if you were paying as you earned then. Does that make sense? Your employer knew how much to deduct and withhold from your paycheck based on the W-4 you filled out when you were hired. The W-4 takes tax information about you, like if you're married, single, if you have any children or dependents. Then it takes your expected income for the year between you and your spouse if you're married, and puts that against the tax tables to figure out how much you would owe at the end of the year, then divides it by the pay periods in the year for your job, and that's what your employer withholds from you each paycheck. So if your W-4 was filled out accurately, you should be close to breaking even at tax time. At tax time, you'd file your tax return and you'd get a refund if you overpaid, or you would owe if you underpaid. This is why filling out the W-4 accurately was super important when you worked for someone else. And I know a lot of people claimed a zero, right? People for a long time said, oh, just put zero on your W-4, right? I'm sure everybody here has done that, but they stopped that. They made a new form, I think in 2021, so that you no longer can just claim zero. You have to fill it out. You have to do a calculation on the W-4 because they want people to pay taxes as they're earning and not the other way around, right? But when you work for yourself, no one is withholding any of that money for you. No one's paying those taxes for you. It becomes your responsibility to calculate and make estimated quarterly tax payments. You may also need to make estimated tax payments to your state if you live in a state with income tax. There are only 8 states without income tax. So Florida, Washington, Tennessee, Alaska, Texas, Wyoming, Nevada, and South Dakota. If you do not live in one of these states on this screen, you need to understand your state's laws on estimated tax payments. I've created a free linked resource below this video that's going to give you a master list of each state with a link that takes you to their area of the website where they talk about their requirements for estimated tax payments. The remainder of this training will cover estimated tax payments to the IRS for federal income tax. So who has to pay estimated tax payments? First, I need to be sure you understand that estimated tax payments are not optional. You are required to pay them. You're required to pay them if you expect to owe at least $1,000. Look, we work with photographers every day, and you hit that threshold pretty darn quickly. I recommend you calculate estimated tax payments every quarter as long as you have a profit. You might be thinking, well, how do I know if I have a profit, Tiffany? That's where, if you're not sure, that's where proper bookkeeping comes in place. And we're going to talk about that at the end of this. Having proper bookkeeping in place and accurate bookkeeping is going to keep you up to date on all these things. It's going to make all of your life easier when it comes to these calculations. So let's talk about how to calculate estimated tax payments. This is where it gets tricky because there's so many variables involved. But keep in mind that we're only looking for an estimate. However, take your time, review your income and expenses, your financials when you're calculating, because the more accurate the estimate, the better. Remember in the beginning, we said all earned income is taxable. This can include interest, stock dividends, capital gains, and self-employment income. We're focusing today really on self-employment income because all income you've made in your photography business is just that. It's self-employment income. If you find you have interest, stock, or capital gains, you'll want to make sure you include those in your calculation. The IRS does have a worksheet that you can use to work through and calculate your estimated tax payments. It's called a Form 1040-ES. So your personal tax return is called a Form 1040-ES for estimated payment. As all IRS forms do, this form also has a step-by-step instruction. You can see here on the right, that's all the instructions. It's pages and pages of how to fill out the form on the left. We're going to actually take a live look at that here in a few slides. I'm going to show you that. But let's talk about the concept. Essentially, we need to take your total income from all sources and then subtract all business expenses. Next, you will subtract certain tax adjustments like health insurance premiums, student loan interest. This will bring us to our adjusted gross income, otherwise known as AGI. And I'm pretty sure you've heard that term somewhere loosely around tax time. Next, we take your AGI and subtract other certain deductions, like your standard or itemized deduction, which you can pick. Usually it's standard anymore. I have a whole other lesson coming on that, so make sure you register for that. You can also check out on my YouTube channel. I have a couple little small blips on that as well. This will give us your taxable income. You can see there are many variables here, so it's not like one size fits all for this calculation. Then we take your taxable income and do the math based on the tax brackets. I'm not going to walk you through the detailed worksheet, but let's take a quick sneak peek so you can see what it looks like. All right, so here is the instructions, which, not for the faint of heart. IRS reading is super dry. I get that, but I will tell you, you'd be surprised when you read through these. I'm not sure how many of you have ever taken a look. Every tax form that exists has like literal instructions for every single line that you need to do. This is just like the intro part, right? So then we'll find the worksheet that you can actually fill in. It's not going to calculate for you though. Sorry for that. It's the IRS. We're lucky this even has an electronic version. But you're going to put in your information. You can see the instructions will tell you. So adjusted gross income, you expect in 2023. And so I'm going to scroll up here, see how each of these. Okay, so here's the work, adjusted gross income, and figuring out the adjusted gross income in 2023. So see how each of these lines tells you exactly what you need. It has, references. Again, I understand this is a little bit of a project, but you need to know, you need to do it. But I'm going to show you an easier way to do all of this in the end. Anyhow, here's your worksheet. You're going to fill it out. You're going to follow the instructions. And I'll scroll down here and show you that. Then you can fill in these little estimated payment vouchers and you can mail them in with your information and your payments. And you'll notice that was payment voucher 4. Here's 3, 2, and 1. All right. So we looked at that form. The links for that form are below this video. So this is also a good time to point out that if you don't have current, up-to-date, accurate bookkeeping, this will take much longer. There are so many benefits to having proper bookkeeping, and estimated tax payments are certainly one of them. Remember, towards the end, I'll show you how you can get yourself all set up with proper bookkeeping and get access to amazing software that will do these calculations for you and help you save money on taxes at the same time. How to make estimated tax payments. So there are several ways that you can make estimated tax payments. You may send estimated tax payments with that voucher I just showed you, the Form 1040-ES voucher by mail, or you can pay online by phone, or from your mobile device, you can use the IRS To Go app. You can also make your estimated tax payments through your online account where you can see your payment history and other tax records. So to get that, you would go to the irs.gov/account. To learn more about payments here, you can go to irs.gov/payments. They have a great video walking you through the different methods of making payment. For your state estimated tax payments, remember, don't forget about the state, which we are not covering in depth in this training, but I put together that list link below this video that links to each state's website on the area of their website where they talk about how you make your estimated tax payments for them. So make sure you check that out as well. And don't forget the state. I will say 90% of the time when we get clients who were making estimated payments and kind of understood that part, a lot of them totally neglected the state. So just make sure you understand your state's rules. When are estimated tax payments due? This is my favorite part. This is so fun. This just shows you how the IRS is. So estimated tax payments are due quarterly. However, these quarters are not your average quarters you might be noticing. So you can see that quarter 1 is due April 15th, but it's for January through March. Quarter 2 is due June 15th for April and May only. Quarter 3 is due September 15th for June through August. And quarter 4 is due January 15th of the next tax year for September through December of the previous year. I remember them by quarter 1 is a normal quarter. And then quarter 2 is 2 months. Quarter 3 is 3 months. And quarter 4 is 4 months. That is my trick. That is how I remember this because it doesn't make sense, right? You'll also notice that quarter 4 is due January 15th of the next year. So for example, your 2022 quarter 4 payment is due January 15th, 2023. However, it falls on a weekend. So this year it's due January 17th. But it's very important to know if it does fall on a weekend, that it usually falls to the next Monday. And you can look this up online. The IRS has a schedule, but I really just want to point out here, they're not true quarters. And I think a lot of people don't realize that till it's too late. If you file your tax return by January 31st, so if you file, say, 2022 by January 31st of 2023, then you're not even required to make that quarter four payment. I will also put in here, I will be doing a whole lesson on, but just so you know, extension to file your tax return is not an extension to pay. So you still need to make, if you're filing extension, you still need to make these estimated payments. What happens if estimated tax payments are not made? Oh, you know, penalties and interest happen. That's what. If you don't make sufficient payments throughout the year or on time, then an extra penalty may be added to what you owe on your tax return. That amount will depend on how much you underpaid, exactly how late you were on your payment. The IRS isn't satisfied with receiving what you owe all at once at the end of the year. Instead, they want their payments to be paid as you earn. That's the theme of today, right? Remember, it's pay as you earn system. Even missing a deadline by a few days can mean extra penalties. Understanding your tax obligations throughout the year takes time and calculation, and I understand that. Sometimes this is why it's good to work with an accountant or someone who can help you do this, but you need to understand your numbers. But all of that is going to help you avoid penalties and interest and unnecessary stress, right? So have you paid penalties? I've always challenged photographers to look at prior year's tax return. There's a box on page 2 of your 1040, which actually I'll jump over and show you here in a second live so you can see what that looks like. It'll show you past penalties you may not even realize you paid. I noticed a lot of CPAs and accounting, box stores where you go don't even ever tell you if there is penalties in that box. They just say, here's what you owe, and you don't even realize that's part of it. So let me just show you that really quick. Here's a 1040, guys. So this is page 1, and I walk through every tax form in a legit photographer. I actually walk through every single line of the 1040, of the 1120S, of a Schedule C, so you can see and know what lines pertain to you and what goes in those lines, where they come from. And then some of the lines don't pertain to you. So just something to think about. So anyways, we come down to here where it shows amount you owe. So look at this, estimated tax penalty. I've had so many clients who found a number there who were totally shocked that nobody told them that they paid that. So line numbers change on tax forms every year because lines come in and out due to different tax credits and deductions, but you'll always find this box around the amount you owe. Okay, so if you're looking at this is the 2022 form, but if you're looking at 2020 or 2018 or something, if you look at any of them, just go look down by that part and I bet you'll find something. I would be surprised. I'd love to hear if you do. All right, so let's go back. The other thing to keep in mind is you might have penalties on there, but the interest can come later. The IRS is not by any means into the future, and communication with them is slow and can take sometimes weeks and up to months. But you may receive a letter in the mail on the interest on that penalty as well. Okay, now that you have the gist and you understand that you are required to make quarterly estimated payments, it is not an option. And you understand that if you live in a state with income tax, you have to do it for state and the federal government through the IRS. Wouldn't it be awesome to have software that helps you calculate what you may owe and even help you strategize to owe less? I thought so. So that's what I want to show you. I love doing these trainings and laying out and clarifying the tax laws for you guys, but we can go even deeper together inside the Legit Photographer Collective. And you actually get free access today to that. So I'm going to tell you about that. So just stick with me. But first, I wanted to show you just a small piece of what you get inside the Legit Photographer Collective. You actually will get free access to this piece of software, Tax Planner Pro, through us as a client. And I walk you through setting it up and how you can link it to your QuickBooks and how to use this to strategize and actually tax plan, guys. Paying taxes, okay, check the box. Making estimated payments, okay, you get a star. But tax planning, can you imagine that? Being ahead of the curve, strategizing, keeping more of what you make. That's my dream for you. That's my entire life's campaign in this whole accounting world, is to help you plan for taxes so that you can keep more now and be aware of what's going on now. So this software is really helpful with that. Tax Planner Pro can sync to QuickBooks Online. And inside the Legit Photographer Collective, we walk you through how to fully set up QuickBooks Online for your photography business step by step, including integrations with other apps. It's an ongoing new features coming out all the time in there. You can manually enter your data into Tax Planner Pro if you want to, but in the spirit of streamlining, the process is so much more efficient if you have up-to-date bookkeeping in your QuickBooks Online, and you can just pull that information over at the quarter end. Plus, before you make any payments, you can use the simulator and tax planning features to save money. I'm going to actually hop into Tax Planner Pro live and show you what that looks like. And then I'm going to come back and tell you how you can get free access to Legit Photographer today. So here's what Tax Planner Pro looks like. This is the dashboard if you were using it, and you'll see we have some graphs. So I have some data in here. This is actually a synced QuickBooks file. And it actually shows me, it's actually doing my income and expenses. And I know it's up to date and I've reconciled my accounts. So I know my taxable income right now at this point in time is $4,114. I've also entered my personal information, my husband's pay stub, maybe. This actually takes into consideration all of those things. And so then it's doing the calculation to show me right now, if it were tax day, I would have a federal tax refund coming, and I would owe the state $398. Guys, how freaking beautiful is that? I love this software. Okay. So that's just like one piece. The other piece in here is that you can actually do a simulator. So this is fun. And then there's planning, where it actually goes through and suggests things for you. So it's going to calculate everything, and it's going to start showing you based on all your information, like things you can do. So and then you click on it, you're going to get a video that's going to actually talk you through understanding this. Like, this is amazing software. This alone is so valuable. The best part too, so we're going to go back to the dashboard. So once everything is going, you can actually go to report, and I'm going to update it. Again, inside Legit Photographer, I walk you through every screen and how to do all this. I just want to give you a quick preview. But the coolest thing I love about this report is the detail. I mean, it walks you through so many different things that you can do to strategize. One of my favorite parts is down here, where it shows you how much money you would have saved if you were an S Corp. And I also love that when you're an S Corp, it shows you how much money you're saving being an S Corp. That's an awesome thing to see. It walks through your information that you've entered, and then it goes into some of those strategies. This is just a report of all those items that we put in there. This is the income from the business, the things we were seeing in the dashboard, just in a pretty report form. Let you know where you're at, telling me how much my tax refund would be and my taxes due. Let's go down here where it starts to walk through some ways that you can save, which I love, which also all of this is in that simulator, but you kind of get this nice report that kind of breaks things out and explains things for you. Expense acceleration. Some people want to increase their expenses at the end of the year to save money on taxes. This kind of goes through some missing deductions based on your industry, some things you could think about, make sure that you're writing off. Income deferment. So, and here's the IRA, self-employment IRA. There's a SEP and a simple. There's two kinds of plans. I will let you know that inside Legit Photographer, we have an entire hour-long masterclass with my IRA guy, who is also an EA, who does an entire masterclass for photographers on what kind of retirement plans you can set up for yourselves and your business. So that's another nugget of knowledge in there. But all of this to go together to help you really turn your photography business into the vehicle to fuel the life you want to live, guys. Like, make it work for you. But anyways, you get the gist of all this. All of this is part of being inside the Legit Photographer Collective. So I just want you guys to know, if you go to legitphotographer.com, you can get free access, no credit card required. I love to invite all of you to check it out. I know some of you here are already in there and are finding value, and we're getting things done together. I'm going to then go jump on the video, and we are going to do our live Q&A. If you're watching the recording of this, this is where we leave you, because the Q&A is for those who attend live. It's sort of the perk of making sure you get here. If you're interested in joining us live in the future, I do weekly trainings. You want to go to bastionaccounting.com/register to get on the list, and you'll get the reminder emails. You only need to register once to be in the weekly trainings, and you'll get the reminder emails every single week for the training. If you're in the Facebook group, or if you also go to bastionaccounting.com/register, you can see a listing of all the trainings upcoming, and I will have a 52-week schedule on there very soon for the entire year. So without further ado, I'm going to jump on camera and we can chat, guys.